Number 1.
This story is from a friend. He let me use it for this video. The path near the river. When I was younger, the adults told us kids that there were gnomes that kidnapped kids who roamed about. At the time, we thought it was just a way to keep us safe indoors. One day, 4 of my friends and I went exploring around our neighborhood. Near my house, there was a small river that passed under a bridge, and there was a small path for people to walk on that heads next to the river. The adults told us that that was where the kidnapping gnomes were. We were kids, so we didn't pay too much attention to what they said. All of us headed to the river to do a bit of exploring. As we walked across the bridge, we all looked over the railing to gaze at the river. That's when we saw it. On the path next to the river, we saw a person scurry down the path. At first, we thought it was another kid playing near the river, but then we saw its features. It was a gnome. It was a lot smaller than a kid, and most definitely looked creepy. We were all scared that it would kidnap us, so we all ran back home. After that day, we were a lot more careful about exploring around our neighborhood.
Number 2.
This next story is my own personal account. The Church Dweller. I used to do a lot of exploring with my friends when I was younger. I still do, but less frequently now, because of all the responsibilities that come with being a young adult. You know, college, work, preparing for the rest of your life, the whole shebang. One day after school, I told my friends that we should explore the neighborhood around the school. There was an abandoned church about a 10-minute walk from the school that we wanted to check out. Other kids told us about it, but no one checked it because it was rumored that there was a ghost or a squatter in there. The neighborhood kids were too scared to check it out. Instinctively, we decided to be the kids to do it. We thought that if we were the first to explore the church, then we would be seen as badasses by the other kids. So after school, we went to go check out the church. Being that we lived a 20-minute walk away from the school, we knew that our parents wouldn't be too worried about our whereabouts. The 3 of my friends and I trekked the 10-minute walk to the church. When we arrived, we saw why the other kids didn't want to get near the church. It was an old Victorian-style church. This and the boarded up windows give it a really creepy feel to it. We spent a good 15 minutes looking for an entrance. Then we found a small opening in the back of the church. I was the first of the 4 to go in. Then my best friend at the time, we'll refer to him as Guy for his privacy, followed. And then the other 2, which their names I don't remember, but for the sake of the story, we'll call them Hebe and Jeebies, came in after. The church was pretty big on the inside, even though it appeared small on the outside. It was really dusty in there. All the furniture and old church instruments were caked in dust. I was surprised that the roaches that scurried about didn't use doom buggies to get around. The church had 2 floors. Well, the second floor was more like a balcony. The first floor had quite a lot of rooms, that one could say it was roomy. I know, sorry for the bad pun. We brought flashlights to see better in there, but we didn't need them because the sun poured in through the sunroofs. I know, a Victorian-style church with sunroofs? We never really knew how many rooms the church really had because not 10 minutes after we got into the church, we heard glass crunch. We froze in place. We thought that the ghost/dweller rumors were all bullshit. We heard more glass crunching. Hebe and Jeebies took off, leaving Guy and I alone with whatever or whoever was inside the church. I know, what good friends. Then we saw it. It was a silhouette of a man, about 7 feet tall. When he saw us, he started walking faster towards us. Guy ran towards the opening we came in and yelled for me to get out of the church. I couldn't move. My body was frozen. My heart was beating faster than the speed of light. As he got closer to me, the thought of me dying felt more real. He got inches away from my face. His face was grimy. He was wrinkled. But the feature that scared me the most were his eyes. I don't know what it was, but they gave me the creepiest feeling. Then at that moment, I snapped back to reality. I ran with Guy out of the church and towards our apartment complex. Hebe and Jeeves were long gone. Guy and I kept looking back to see if the guy was following us. Luckily, he didn't. We got to our apartment complex, and it took us a good half an hour to calm down. Guy and I then went to our homes. When I got to my house, my mom must have noticed that I looked shook because she asked me what happened. I told her what happened, and I was scolded for going to places I didn't know. On a normal day, I would have been annoyed with being scolded, but this time I was happy because I was home where it was safe.
Number 3.
This next story was posted on the thread that was asking for urban exploration stories. I will post a link to the thread in the description. The Trailer by Goliath Prime. Back in the 80s, me and my friend Don used to explore the woods near our homes. One time, we discovered an old trailer someone had dumped in the middle of nowhere. Oddly enough, there was no road, no tire tracks, and no way of getting it there. The rotted out wheels were still attached to the underside, and there was no cinder blocks holding up the rest of it, as is common. So the rest of the way was being supported by the edge, which was wrapped downwards from the strain. We curiously approached the trailer and walked along its length to see if there was any note on the other side. Curious, and finding the entire situation bizarre, I walked back around to the front and tried the handle. It was unlocked. I opened up the door and peered inside. To our surprise, the entire trailer was furnished. There was an armchair, a couch, curtains, an old wooden TV with tiny screens, tables, chairs, paintings, and even curtains and throw rags. But everything was laid out as if someone lived there. All the furnishings had been succumbed to the years of neglect and unchecked humidity. Everything was covered with the light dusting of mold, and the stench of rotten vegetation was strong. Don joined me and surveyed the interior. We began to examine the furniture and interior at great length. Everything looked like it was from the 40s. All the photos hanging on the walls, well, a few that we could still make out, were black and white shots of people in old-style dress. The automobiles in the backgrounds of several photos were all circa 1930s to 1950s. We both touched the furniture next. I put my hand on the couch. Don touched the armchair and quickly withdrew with disgust. They were damp and slimy. We soon realized that everything in the trailer was damp and was coated in some kind of viscous oil or slime. We stopped touching things at that point. As I made my way into the kitchen area, something crunched under my shoe. I looked down to find the skeleton of a rabbit beneath my foot. I called Donnie over and showed him the bones. They were still articulated for the most part and held together by dried sinew. Donnie suggested it had gotten in and died of starvation. I continued over to the old refrigerator. Instead of a handle, it had a latch that you could lift up to open the door. I pried it up and quickly withdrew my hand, as the handle was also covered with the same slime, and I looked with disgust at it before wiping my hands on my jeans. Then, the smell hit me, and I looked up into the long dead appliance. The inside of the refrigerator was packed with more skeletons of various animals. It looked as if someone had just jammed dozens of remains into the refrigerator and freezer sections, and they all had jumbled together into a mass of dried ribs, skulls, and leg bones. When Don saw it, he started to swear and wanted to leave. Who the hell would put dozens of skeletons in a refrigerator in a trailer in the middle of nowhere? I made light of the situation to ease the tension. As I looked longer into the tangled mess of bone, I glanced over to the oven. I could see through the crusted oven window the now familiar bits of yellowed animal bones. I grabbed the oven handle and opened the door to another tangled mess of bone and flesh. I called over to Don, who had retreated to the living room. He looked over and began losing it, saying that he was done with this. As he started backing away towards the front door, I opened a cabinet and more skeletons tumbled out. These were loose and weren't packed in like the refrigerator and oven. At this point, Don had left the trailer and was outside yelling for me to join him. I glanced down the hallway towards the bedrooms. I asked Don what he thought might be down the hallway. He said he didn't care and wanted to leave right now. I told him I was going to take a look. Despite him swearing at me and threatening to leave me there, I started down the darkened hallways to the bedrooms. There was a bedroom directly behind the kitchen, and I confidently opened the door. It was difficult to see in this room. Unlike the living room area and the kitchen, there was only one small window, and the light was further obscured by the desiccated curtain that hung damply from the cheap rods. As my eyes adjusted, I found the room to be largely empty, aside from a scattering of a few more skeleton bones and torn bits of old newspaper on the aged, yellow linoleum. Not bothering to enter the room, I walked further down the hallway, despite Donnie's continued protests. I slowed as I neared the bathroom and the back bedroom. The air was thick and repugnant with decay and mold. I took a deep breath of the cleaner air and then slid open the bathroom door, a very cheap, thin plank of wood rollers. The bathroom was barely visible in the gloom. It stunk of rot. I could barely see the toilet and tub/shower combination, but they appeared empty. I slid the door shut again to contain the smell, and took a breath of cleaner air near the first bedroom before heading back in to see whatever lay behind the door in the last bedroom. I reached the door, and noticed that no light came from beneath the crack at the bottom. I grasped the knob, even though it was coated with the same gunk that lined every surface of the trailer, and tried to open the door. The knob turned easily enough, but something seemed to be pressed against the door from the inside. I pushed harder, and I could hear a damp crackling sound as whatever was holding the door slowly gave way. Still, the door didn't open. I was determined though, so I put my shoulder to the cheap wood and shoved. Slowly, the door opened up, but I had to fight every single inch of it. I soon saw the reason. The entire floor was covered in animal skeletons about a foot thick. There was not a single inch of floor space that didn't have that strange tangled mass of animal remains. Things were much more damp in this area, and the corpses seemed to grow into the walls. The bones were larger too. The animals in this room were larger. Dogs it looked like, and deer in addition to rabbits, raccoons, and others. The only area clear of bodies was the arch where I forced the door open. Unlike the previous bedroom, this room was furnished with a bed and a dresser, but both has long succumbed to decay. The bed frame had survived, but the mattress, or whatever was left of it, was nothing but an uneven mass of various mold and fungi. The dresser had collapsed in on itself, and also had various mushrooms sprouting from its legs, and exposed shelving. The mass of bones seemed to pour out from beneath the bed in a flood of decomposition, while a surprisingly luxuriant black mold had spread up to engulf the back of the wall, then across the ceiling towards one window. I discovered that the air was completely unbreathable, and staggered backwards towards the kitchen, choking on the spores. No doubt to Don's relief, I headed back outside to get out of the putrid air. As I leaned on the side of the trailer, coughing and choking for several minutes, I was slowly able to breathe again. The implications of what I had seen began to pique my curiosity once more. The skeletons were piled against the door, so how exactly did the skeletons get in there in the first place? The window? I walked along the span of the trailer to the window of that back bedroom. I could still smell the stinging reek of the mold in my nose. The window was shut, but the glass was shattered. Someone must have been forcing animal carcasses through the window. Don asked what I had seen, and I told him. He didn't like my revelation one bit, and just wanted to leave as quickly as possible. So we went home. Months later, I tried to find the trailer again, but either couldn't remember where it was, or someone had removed it. Whatever happened to the trailer of bones, I'll never know. The poster of this story posted this story before in the past, and the consensus among the commenters was that the trailer was most likely being used as a carcass dump by local hunters, hunting illegally, or by a local roadkill removal crew, who were dumping the animals there rather than pay the dump or incinerator fee. Hey guys, Psychotic Maniac here. Before I let you guys go, I just want to give you guys two quick messages. The first one is that I'm going to be changing my upload schedule from 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, to 2 times a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. I am doing this for 2 reasons. The first one is that I want to release longer videos so you can enjoy them while you do other things. Also, the extra time will allow me to find great stories for the videos, and I will be able to make my content better because you guys deserve the best. Because you guys are fucking awesome. The second reason I'm changing my upload schedule is because uploading 3 times a week has been hard for me. The time I had to make the videos just wasn't enough. My second message to you guys is that you guys should follow me on my social media, be it Snapchat, Twitter, or Instagram. It will be a lot easier and convenient for me to give you guys updates and or announcements on there, compared to me having to make a video each time I want to give you guys an announcement. So yeah, if you like this video, destroy that like button. If you want to share it with your friends and family so they too can get spooked, then do it. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Join the Psycho Squad. Again, thanks for watching. Stay safe, and remember, everyone is a tad bit insane.